The stage is set for 8 weeks of spectacular Gen 4 racing around some of the greatest oval tracks in all of iRacing. Welcome along to the first official week of Gen 4 Thunder, kicking off here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Where else the free oval every iRacer has experienced? An absolutely brutal beast in these cars. Just keeping it out of the wall is hard enough of a challenge in itself. And also, we've messed up qualifying. It's a great way to start this championship. Welcome along. We have about 10 to 12 drivers hitting the grid for a very, very hot and exciting race around here. And you accidentally hit the track last week, which wasn't easy or fun for you. Now, this track, it's so thin, the walls are right there. What are we getting ourselves in for?
Absolute chaos. As much as Auto Club is a fairly sleepy affair, you can save the car. Ooh, bloody hell. You see how aggressive these cars, because you need to swing them so hard on the fairly flat part of the track through turns 4 into 1. And the car just ends up so squiggly throughout the entire section that it just can stop on you at any point. So yeah, expect controlling the car to be a handful for this race.
I wasn't expecting
this. But if you're able
this.
to do so and you're able to keep the tyres, you'll have a great time.
I wasn't expecting this to be quite this hard for people already, but we have black flags being given out in qualifying. We have it all. We have a grid pretty much almost entirely set. We accidentally set it open. It was a 5-minute throwdown of carnage, but the grid has mostly stabilised pretty much where it should, I think. I'm not seeing any surprises in terms of the starting grid. Might have seen some surprises in terms of some of the things you've seen on the track, but these drivers were able to just about squeeze it together without wrecking, except for Talon Smith, who managed to eat a qualifying black flag. That is spectacular.
Okay.
Are you going to question it?
No. I've seen enough in that session. It's fine.
Well, sometimes we like to throw surprises at our drivers. That's just one way I'm going to put it. And we're going to get our starting grid going on now. We have Jake Forster taking up the front row alongside Talon Smith, who got within 7 thousandths. Missed that front row. Lars Chenoweth sits in P3 with Michael Alpha-Lissenden, the first of the many Alcantech drivers, in P4. Daniel Solo and Anton Oman are making up an Alcantech army right behind in 5th and 6th, with Matthew Crisp rounding off that group. Bartosz Mugrala sits behind in 8th, with Will Shack in 9th, and Doyle Rudolph hitting 10th. James Facing and Trevor Crosswhite, they have also made it into the session. Maybe just about. We have our pace lap. We're getting ready to run off already. It's a quick one out here on the track. We're going to be starting in the sunset and hopefully making it into the night.
Fairly cool conditions. It'll be the best the track is going to give you, but it's still a very wild affair. You've got a lot of horsepower and a lot of transitions to handle, so
12 drivers hit the grid for 100 laps. 2 stops anticipated if we stay green, although we might not stay green, seeing the state some of these drivers have been trying to run this tricky track. And 100 laps ahead, this track is an absolute tyre murderer, so I fear for all of them. And the wall.
If you have... Well, yes. You should be able to do it in 2 stops. There is a 3rd set of tyres available in the pit lane if a caution comes your way. But you just need to be careful, just take care of your stuff, and just make sure you've got a car pointed forwards at the end. There's no fast repair. That came away after the class races. There we go.
We have league competition now, and you don't get your fast repair for free. That was an insurance policy against the randos. So everybody here is indeed committed. It may only be 12 drivers, about the size of your average Gen 4 Cup field since they doubled up on the race slots. But all these drivers are absolute super fans of the car. We have some incredibly talented drivers, winners of prior races around here as well. And this time is going to fly by quickly for round one of Gen 4 Thunder. I'm going to say my cheesy line, my favourite cheesy line. It's time to bring the thunder at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's go.
And I'm just keeping an eye on the Alcantech cars. They are fairly bunched up and they like to be aggressive with each other usually. But they're playing fairly respectful on this. Oh, car loose in the wall already, an incident.
That looks like Omen has had a wobble and went right into the wall. The wall claims many victims on this circuit, and it might have already claimed its absolute first. So nothing was really in that. That was actually just a little bit of looseness and a little bit of wobble out that first lap. When the Architect drivers are working together, they can also deliver magic. I can promise you that. They're able to pick off a win in the Swedish, famous Swedish league. Mike Littenden doing it at Dover. Even he's just a little bit off the front of this field for now as Talon Smith takes the lead over Lars Chenoweth, who just squeezes past Jake Forster. Keeping the car under you here is going to be a real struggle. This is one of the finished tracks out there, and that wall is a brutalizer of any drivers. But it seems that this top three are content to run away.
It's a question of what line you want to run. A lot of cars are going up the track in practice, trying to get against the wall. I feel like you're going to bruise your fronts a lot if you do that, though.
James facing with a little bit of a...
just keep it down the track for now.
Keeps it together.
And should be okay for the long run then.
Top three Architect are sticking together. They've already lost one to the back of the field and a nasty hit on the wall with the is it the steel bodies or the composite bodies that they used back in the day? I know that I think it is the old steel bodies that just wrapped around the thing and just crumpled the second you looked at them badly. These wall hits start to add up, and we're still seeing some. So that is half Lizardon at the front, making a little hit.
I think that was the dirty one of Will Shack also taking the wall as well, falling back down the pack there. So yeah, you just need to be careful. Like, you might get away with a few small taps, but they will add up, and if you get a bad hit, you're going to damage that right front, and so that's going to put you in a really bad position for trying to carry speed through those corners. And unless a big wreck happens, we're very unlikely to get an actual caution here, considering a lot of these are probably going to be single car incidents. So you don't get guaranteed repair time. You just need to keep that car as healthy as you can. I keep going on about it, but it is very much the case right now, as Talon Smith looks to have extended the lead quite significantly over Lars Chenoweth, who has similarly gapped Jake Forster, and Bartosz Migrel is just currently chasing quite a distance away.
Talon Smith is a 7K 87s farmer. If anyone knows how to do the how to make a long run race fast and effective, it might be an unhinged guy quite like that, and he'd be okay with me calling him unhinged. Trust you very much. Just don't go and watch back the broadcast Daytona 500. That was a rougher experience for all involved in the track. As we have quite a few drivers losing out and still having a little wall tap, still no catastrophes yet. You'd be surprised at how little wheel damage or little aero damage could add up. We're sort of stacking up back here as Omen, he is very fast. He does want to make his way up through this field. We're still losing it. But Shaq and Crisp now still taking those wall hits. That tri-oval, or really that quad-oval, is brutal. It really is one of the hardest quad ovals on the whole NASCAR schedule.
It's the off-ramp. It just really wants to pull you up the track. If you're not set up for it, you will just go shooting into that outside wall. There's no bank to help pull you down either, so you're just stuck there. And you can see the damage Will Shack's already taken because of it. A few drivers probably going to end up with the foul side of it as this race goes on as well, so... Let's see here. Oh, that's a very aggressive looking 26. Doyle Rudolph trying to give the shove there to Trevor Crosswhite.
Looks like now we're in the phase where people have worked out the long run pace, and now they're going to try and push people within it. Whereas some of these top drivers are just running away a bit. We're going too wide into the quad oval here. Omen absolutely has places to be. So does Hafley. I think they're going to sneak their way through many a driver on their way up. Bartosz will be the next one to tackle, but he's gone quite some distance down the road. Some good tussling for places here. Drivers able to hold it too wide pretty well, and there may even be space for free if you're crazy enough. I think they would do it. You know, I really think they would.
meanwhile, this has been happening. This has been the best battle, but Bartosz pulled away from the front of this group, excuse me. Has managed to catch into the back of Jake Forster now. So third place could potentially flip over.
Matthew First is someone who hasn't been able to ramp that pace up, though. He's just dropping and dropping and dropping in this time. Bartosz is making out to Jake here, almost certainly. It makes you wonder whether Jake's pace is sort of what he's content with right now, whether maybe Bartosz is using up his stuff a little bit, or whether the pace differential has just started to work its way out. We could be going for a real long-run strategy race here, as Doyle Rudolph is starting to definitely punch up in terms of his pace. I thought people would very much like to sit where they are for a little bit, but looks like we are definitely seeing these gaps being made up and thrown away in an instant.
It's usually good idea to take track position wherever you can, but with the way these cars are racing right now, going side by side does appear to be giving up a decent chunk of time to the leaders. Once again, Talon Smith pulling away quite significantly. And I guess Bartosz was able to get the gap over the 24 Trevor Crossway just because there was no pressure on the 5, so he was able to just drive away uncontested and able to leave everyone else in the dust. And now we just have to see if they just keeping control of the tyres while building that gap.
Racing is faster than I anticipated out of qualifying, but that's really bad. A hit on both sides of the quad oval, and he's back to the back again. Now that's the sort of hit that could possibly induce wheel damage in a car. It's the sort that possibly really could knock you out of alignment, as the spotter would love to remind you whenever anything happens on the track. That aero damage is probably slowing you a lot, you might say. He's definitely lost quite a bit of pace. It's the hardest wall tap I think we've seen so far this race outside of that first lap.
It wasn't a wall tap, it was a full wall ride through the quad oval. I didn't think that was a possibility, but Ross Chastain might have a new friend. Either way, James Thiesing is probably hoping for the caution that's not going to come. Right now, probably 1/3 of the way through the first stint if we do go green, assuming everyone's just going to run fuel tanks.
Well, hear me out.
Just need to nurse it home.
Hear me out. We have never seen Daniel Solo and Ross Chastain in the same room.
This is technically a true statement.
Not completely wrong. Omen looking to make up time now on Doyle, who has passed for 6th. He sometimes likes to, I shouldn't say he likes to. I'll say I like to rib him for playing unusual long-term strategy. I say I like to rib him because the accusations might not even be accurate. And we might be getting some thoughts of him later on in the race. But no, he's running away now. He has found his groove, and he is just starting to pick it up. Quite a few drivers having really sort of had a slow start, recovered. These Open Tech drivers, I know they're capable of more than this here though, but they've had little mistake after mistake. It shouldn't be too hot on the track, I usually say when I make the weather too hot on the track. Put that in metric for you, thank you very much. 25 on the track surface, it shouldn't be, in my opinion, a nightmare for the ages, but it hasn't had a lot of grip, even on the Legacy layout, which is usually the grippiest of the two.
Well, the problem is when you put this much horsepower on the track, there is no such thing as grip. It is slip all the way through everywhere you go, and it's very hard to control. And I think Will Shack's just found out again there is no grip, but send him straight up into the wall and just falling back down the order again. Should maybe lose out on P last, but no. James Thiesing not able to complete the move, so currently has that notable distinction, I guess.
These drivers are competing to be last at the rate I'm seeing things sometimes with the rate of the hits. So Haflissen leads this group, and then it's nothing but big gaps up the field. Anton Oman very much running on his own. Doyle Rudolph up ahead, very much running on his own. Then you have Trevor Crossway. He's got good pace, but still very much running on his own. Bartosz Mugrala's kind of lost the back of Jake Forster now. Well, that time he was gaining seems to have dropped off the face of the planet. So now we're just sort of seeing a lot of these drivers manage their stuff. And we'll see in the span of around 20 laps, I expect these cars are about 40 of fuel. See how that has really suited them. I'm a bit worried that Talon Smith might just be both fast and good at saving, because he is off like a rocket ship and he knows how to make it work. Lars isn't too far off him. He's definitely far away from Daniel Solo from Auto Club fame, though. So this time we might not need to forcibly keep them away from each other to prevent a fist fight on the track. But anything can happen, and driver mistakes have been compounding bit by bit so far as the tyres get more worn, as the aero gets damaged, as the wheels get damaged. Races here very quickly unfold into a nightmare.
Just keeping an eye on the back two cars. They are both yellow, so very easy to spot. They got very close to each other, and that would be one of the few ways we could actually get a caution on this track, is if we do have a multi-car incident, trying to get a position, tag someone in a bad place, and you'll both end up in the wall. Do you need to be careful? These things taking a very weird line on the extra 4 there. Just taking that like high, then cuts across before the banking.
I've ridden a lot of Gen 4 Charlotte, although even on the less grippy layout, and really, Turn 4 is a nightmare. It's one of the hardest corners on the whole Gen 4 Cup schedule, I think. You wouldn't necessarily think so, but this track just, like, it comes up on you and creeps up on you, and then before you know it, you're in the wall. This, like, we call this the stereotypical oval track. It's definitely a free one included in iRacing. It's very much, people think it's very normal, but really, like, it becomes an endurance challenge in these things, just keeping it together. Because unlike a track like Michigan later on in the season, that's next week's race, there's really no margin for error whatsoever if you even want to make it home with a functional car. Quarter of the way through the race now, positions have very much settled down. But now, tyres are really going to start becoming a factor, as that is a big hit. That's Solo, white card.
It was more of a glancing blow. He might get away with it in terms of damage, but in terms of pace, it's definitely cost him. Fall off the back of Lidison, excuse me, and just going to let Matthew Crisp close that gap back up.
I found out that if you struggle with it, you can call him Halfley, and it makes sense. That's what they call it. I have a feeling they'll take this series a bit more seriously than Street Stocks. Mini stocks. I forget even some of the stuff I run. As James also doing the other easy mistake to make on this track, and that's tagging that grass. I'll say, street stocks are a thing that is here, the advanced series this week, and I'm tagging that grass quite a lot. But if you've not driven Street is here with cautions, it's better than it sounds. I don't think that's going to convince you. I really don't think it is, but I promise you it's better than it sounds. Solo going for it on the inside of the tri-oval. They're side by side, and that should be clear. Quite easy to get under someone if they leave that space, and that's really your best option. He washes very wide on the exit here of 1 and 2. But he has that cleared now by the back stretch.
I thought the high side might be favoured just by the way some of these cars are driving in practice, but no, it's a case of you just want to get down the track, get the run as soon as you can take it, clear up in front of them, and run away with it. So pushing game for Daniel Solo. Still a decent gap though to the 42 of Anton Oman, and that's really your next target. As maybe we're not behind actually. Halflidson still chasing and definitely wants that position back.
These are no Xfinity cars, Halfley. You may be a winner on Thursday, but then you have to sell on Friday. This will be the last season with these cars, and it's your random newsflash. Unfortunately, I see that the Dodge on the back of these cars, iRacing have made it clear that you are not going to be able to change the stamps on the manufacturers for the upcoming Gen 4 car. Apparently, the licensing is very onerous. They've just changed it on the ARCA, and we were all having fun making BMWs and Volvos, and they've just forcibly stamped the manufacturers on. They've told us that nowadays you don't have a choice. Manufacturers are demanding it, and Jake Forster in probably one of the only Chevys of the actual Chevy field, has snuck it into Lars on the inside line, and now he's going to make the chase down for Talon. 4 seconds to make up, but it looks like his car's definitely running faster right now.
Where the hell did this pace come from for the 44? Turns on the afterburners from out of nowhere, blows past the 22. Jake Forster now on a massive run. Running, I think, fastest on track. Certainly the last 5 or 10 laps, yes, absolutely.
I mean,
Tom Smith's burned through the stuff.
Losing 6 tenths could have been a bad lap there from Lars. He lost on lap 36 tenths. That's more than double what he lost the laps before, and it's not like Jake went any faster. I think there was a mistake being made in there. Now the gap to Talon. They are drivers on comparable pace, even on these current tyres. It looks like Talon getting a 31.2 and only a tenth back. Still going to need a bit more to make it up. I don't think Talon's eaten through his stuff. I think Talon is here to lap. Talon's goal here is to lap Will on pace, I think. That's his main game today. Lars having a battle. That's Trevor having a battle with Bartos. Now side by side, and this bottom really looks like it's the strong place to be right now.
Yep, you're still able to slide through the corner, keep it under control, and the limited mission held Trevor Crosswhite.
Reliable sources have told me that Jamie Ascaro, intending to be here, did not sleep through it. The allegations are false. I've been told her lawyers will be after me if I repeat them. Her PC will not turn on. So, welcome to Gen 4 Thunder. Your PSU's dead. That's a shame. Lars hits it back on Jake. I do think Lars is faster, and I do think there was a mistake that lost him that pace, because now he's all the back in it, and I see these Architect drivers tangling. That is Omen, who's lost quite a bit. I'd love to see what just happened, because he's just dropped off the face of the planet. Really running that high side and wobbling.
Yes. The front of that car looks a bit dinged up with the 42.
Jake Forster, he's our first diver into the pit road. Early pit stop strategy here from Jake Forster. But he's going to try and beat the rest.
The race into thirds.
Going to try and beat them on fresh tyres.
This is essentially the undercut then. You get the fresh tyres on now. You go out there, you get probably 5 or so laps where you just get to run around the field at full speed and presumably make up any distance you've lost on that first stint to Talon Smith. So see if this works out.
Talon and Jake came very close in a battle for the end at Auto Club in our second exhibition race. Talon Smith won on a fuel-saving strategy. He was just about able to dodge a stop. That's Talon making his stop now. He's reacting straight away, and I'm going to be very interested to see how the lap times of these drivers compare.
It's a very slow feeling drive down pit road when you know you're racing someone who's currently burning rubber on the track.
And that's Bartos as well, the 5 car, dropping in. I'm just going to try and bring up the lap time delta between Jake and Lars so we can get a real sense maybe of the difference in pace. I think Lars is still running out. I'm not sure why it's showing -30. Please make the voices stop. But now we'll get to see it officially on the track. Jake is laps down from Doyle Rudolph in P3, but it's absolutely nothing. There are 2 seconds delta now on that final lap. Jake Forster really looking to make the most out of it. It's going to be curious to see how he compares to Talon Smith, though, in a lap or two when we can see the pit time.
Meanwhile, a lot of these drivers are staying out, doing the fuel tank run. Crosswhite does tap, comes to pit roads. Presumably you'll see the field pit the next few laps when the fuel tank's burned, but I think they're just going to lose too much time on track. And I'm worried they're not going to make it back on that final stint, because presumably that's what they're playing towards.
Trevor misses this pit box there, overshoots just a little. And it leaves right now the drivers. Lars running first, Doyle running second, Havley running third, but our first drivers who have stopped are up with Talon Smith. Gotta compare the lap times right now. Talon Smith still a tenth faster than Jake Forster on the first fully valid lap between the two out of pit road there. Keep the graphic on screen.
The gap did come down, but hey, like you take 2 seconds maybe after Talon Smith. Congratulations, you still have another 2.5 to make up, and I don't think Talon's gonna let you. Funnily enough,
I think you have to. I would say you have to force a mistake out of Talon Smith to get him to make one, but to do that, he has to see you in the first place. He's a 10.5 faster on the second lap, and as well, Anton Oman now into pit road. No cautions have come to mess up the strategy in this race whatsoever. We are absolutely running this one green, and it's going to take a real catastrophe now, I think, in order to force out the caution. Accidents can happen, but these drivers have absolutely been expertly running their own race. And I wonder, let's try listen on board to Talon to see if he's already up to something here. Nope, he is definitely running the engine through all 4 corners. Just got to keep an eye on it, you know? Just got to keep an eye on it. Will Shaq in as well.
Let's try. Going as fast as he is, Talon would have the engine on. I feel like having an engine that's turned on is usually beneficial towards having a fast car.
He was fast while saving, so I don't even know what he does, quite frankly. I don't know what he puts in his breakfast. Maybe he just puts the 87s in his breakfast.
Well, in the infamous words of Joey Logano, he saved at the pump.
Of course you would speak about Joey Logano like that.
This is the thing. I think I'm just excited the fact that because I am okay with the presence of Joey Logano, I am officially a fanboy, fangirl.
You're the only Joey Logano fan.
I can believe it.
And I like Kyle Busch, so what am I talking about? We've had this argument on broadcast before as well. Like, just can't beat the allegations. Almost all drivers gone in for their stops now, but Lars finishing his as we speak. And then we have 4 at the front. Doyle Rudolph is now our race leader. No extra points for leading laps. Maybe we should have thought about it, but they're running it as long as they possibly can. Maybe could try and fuel safe to turn it into a one-stop if they... Let me listen to this engine as well.
It's getting close to the point where I'm thinking it's not completely unreasonable. If you commit to it from the start, the fuel tank would probably do 40-something laps in the first place.
No, that's Doyle. I heard him letting off. I thought he could have been saving. He's heading into pit lane right now. Doyle Rudolph gives up the lead. We'll see what Haflisterton does as well. He stays out. Same with Solo, same with Chris. Malcolm Tech are very much coordinating this strategy, these 3 drivers. So now Lars has the fresher tyres. Going to be very curious to see what he does with those over Forster. We'll work out the differences. And we'll see quite how this stop is working for him. That data doesn't seem right. I am hearing these engines cut out in the corners. I'm not going delusional. I think they are saving as much as possible. Yep.
They only need to make half race distance. That's not too much further on a stint.
Those revs are cutting out.
Catching to the back of them on this strategy.
Top
but
3.
If they make this... I don't know if this is going to work out for them. They might be able to do it on one stop, but they're giving up a lot of time.
Multiple seconds a lap. They're giving up here. This is going to be rough. Talon is here for the taking. Solo's all the way in the wall. These cars will stick to the wall when they're able to get it off in time. Oh, what's that, Solo? It's actually hard to tell, even though they have different... yeah, it was. They have different colours, and it's hard to tell. Talon Smith now running through on this green pace, and this has to be scaring these drivers now. Them knowing that they might not be able to hold it the whole way. Now, I didn't do the maths perfectly on race distance here, and it was entirely possible that fuel saving was viable today. And I'm not sure, maybe they've just tried to replicate Talon, or maybe they've tried to work this one out together. Interestingly, Omen didn't follow. Omen has just stopped like the rest. So maybe he was either left out of the party, or they're trying to split this in some way. Don't quite have a team's championship, but they would like to see that team pride at the top. Solo and Halfley are competing at the same time as being hounded by Talon.
So this is lap 50. If you pit now and do the same stint again, theoretically, you make the end of the race. The problem is, Talon also needs to do one more stop, is guaranteed to make that fairly safely, and is already hounding you for position. They're able to stay out. This is incredible.
They're bringing this tank to its absolute death. If they can bring it to the absolute bottom, then they need to save less during the second stint. And then they can hope and hold and pray, but it's going to be a really tough hope and pray. Callum Smith takes on the race lead, unassailably fast as a driver here today. Our fastest lap of the race indeed has been set by the Talon. It's been a 29.4, didn't just happen, but I made the graphics show anyway for you. So there's no doubt who has the best pace on this track. Here they come!
Yep. Oh, that's into the wall in the background there.
Could very much be. I will take a look at that. And how badly did he stuff pit entrance? Oh, very badly did he stuff pit entrance. The 18 of Chris just took a hard shock, and that's going to be damage. Will he add repairs to that time?
I don't think you can afford to take repairs given this current race state. You're going to lose so much time in the pit lane. And this race doesn't appear to be showing any signs of getting to a yellow anytime soon. We might go 100 green flag laps, which would be impressive. But it does mean that the 18 is just going to be wounded for the rest of the race.
Now, all I'm going to say is that I have a button that would allow me to declare that there is debris on the track. All right? And just force a caution. So don't tempt me with that power. I've kind of promised not to abuse my power for evil. So that's not a threat, but it is I now wield it. I could be NASCAR, and this whole one-stop strategy may as well be an action detrimental to virtual stock car racing. So, watch yourselves. This has become a very long-run strategy game. No real incidents to speak of, and it would take a bit of a freak one to kick off now. Solo very fast on the fresh tyres. Shaq riding the wall hard. Another thing about these cars, once they get in the wall, they do not come off. They stick to it like absolute glue, and we can see the front of that car. Oh, hide it from us, hide it. That car's not looking good today, and he's just going to be limping for a while. There's Crisp, whose car doesn't look totally ruined by the pit stop calamity, and another one.
This is the problem as well. You hit the right front, so you lose steering. So the car just drifts up and hits the wall again and again and again. It gets worse and worse and worse. You need to back it down a ton here to keep it from going into the wall again. And I think Will Shaq's definitely going to be suffering for the remainder of this race.
He's already dead. So.
Well, the car's still going, so not dead yet, but definitely in the process of dying. And speaking of dying, James Thiesing is about to go 2 down here, as you see the impossible to miss bright pink Talon Smith in the background.
He had some good pace in the start this race, and now it hasn't quite played out for him. He kind of played a regular strategy, but maybe you shouldn't consider it too bad to get lapped by this guy. He is actually a sim racing alien. Of old cars. You had a point. I cut you off. You're welcome to come back to it.
I've lost the point. Don't worry about it. The point was there, and now it's gone entirely.
I'm just the master speaking over others in the booth, you know? It's like my main hobby.
Welcome to internet voice delay.
And my voice...
talking really awkward.
My voice actually comes out for like half a second of delay as well due to compression. And there is
actually
a
happened.
caution! There is a caution. It's Will Shack sideways on the track. Didn't want that to rhyme as well as it did. Oh.
Is this detrimental to...
We're going to need to go further back to analyse what happened here.
That looks like
I
recovery
am
drive.
confused. Is it actions detrimental to virtual stock car racing? It's Will Shack. Loses it. Oh, hard into the wall.
Just throws on the anchors, fair enough.
I will put down the hammer if this is like cynical, all right? If this is just like something that happens, then I will not put down the hammer, but he just needs to be well aware. We are in actions detrimental to stock car racing watch right now. You wouldn't deliberately rig a race on broadcast.
Well,
I will let it slide. He's definitely trying to race. We have pit stops. Everyone on a neutral strategy, and it could very much be a dash to the end.
A lot of cars choosing to stay out to get the lap back.
We have Talon Smith, Jake Forster, Lars Chenoweth, and Trevor Crossway. I can't believe you're allowed to stop in the pit box like that and get service, actually. That's more outrageous than the caution.
Well, it's 4 wheels inside the box. They can service you by NASCAR rules. It looks like they're going to leave in the same order they came on, which isn't too surprising.
At least it's not another Joey Logano moment. And you know what I mean with this one. A lot of field in. Talon Smith winning the battle off pit road. Yeah, we are pretty much resetting this stack to where they are. Bartos will take the lap back. But he won't be able to take tyres with it.
No, Bottas stayed out, I think. The 5.
He's leading right now. Yeah, he stayed out. No, yeah, he stayed out. Wave around for the 2 in front. Bartel stays out on old tyres. Now he goes for it.
Huh. Okay.
And that is going to be a stop and hold. For entering a closed pits late.
Is that...
You do not get an end of line for a entering closed pits late.
Pits were going to be open or not there either way. Weird call to even try to pit there, because even if you didn't get the penalty, you would be going back to 11th or 10th, around there. So they'll rack up the grid once again. A lot of cars coming around the track after getting that wave around. And see
a lot of people don't know that it's a stop and hold for a late pit entry. They think it's just the end of line because the early pit entry is end of line. We restart on the leader, not on the green. So without a restart zone, Talon is in full control of this field the moment the pace car pulls in.
And I'm expecting Smith to just pull off into the distance. It's very easy to get the jump. The pace car comes off. Talon's going to wait for the restart. No, goes a little earlier than it. Gets fully clear. Forster just about able to do the same, but look in the back, the 26 Doyle rule of trying to get the nose inside. Can't quite make it happen. They'll all go single file for the starts.
Will Shack also stuck in pit lane? I think that's a serious damage being taken. We're back to single file running, and this is going to be very much a sprint to the end for drivers. Pretty much no need for strategy here. I think these cars are just about going to make it. You might have saved a tiny bit, but everyone's on the same page. Bartos has a stop and hold to serve, unfortunately. Yeah, as I said, most people do not know this. We're running again. It's our top 3 as before, but the gap's already starting to play out. This is going to be one proper long run in terms of race distance.
Chenoweth under a lot of pressure, though. Crosswhite trying to get onto the high side, trying to get alongside that right side port panel, try and drag him back a bit, can't quite get there, thinks about the inside, can't quite get it shipped in.
And it's Forster setting the new fastest lap. He is pacey, and now he's going to push. At least push for as long as his strategy will let him. Talon has effectively led this entire race.
Trevor was able to stay even on entry there, but couldn't quite hold the speed around the outside. That bottom line doing a lot of work in these cars right now to generate momentum. And it looks like the 24 is going to hold station behind the 22.
Definitely keeping it easy right about now. But, oh, that's a wiggle from Doyle on the inside line. Just about keeps it together, but this is going to give Anton Oman some pace. He did dip onto that apron. He drives just like me around this track. That momentum hasn't quite materialised. He's actually able to get it back under his feet pretty quickly.
That 42 is looking very loose, though. It's very difficult to get the power down in your car's behaving badly, and I have a feeling that car's just a little bit too slippy with some previous damage, perhaps, but you can see the 26 just able to pull away a little bit again.
6 at the front. Solo quite far off the back. I think they're all in it to win it here, actually. This top 4 are having a bit of a gap set out, but I don't think Doyle Rudolph is necessarily out on the long run, and we've already not spread the gaps out like we did at the start of the race when Talon was out by a million miles. Everybody's certainly used their race experience so far to keep it close, and it has gotten cooler on this track now as the night starts to fall.
Extra grip means you can push the tyres a little bit harder, and I have a sneaking suspicion second, third, fourth place might have said, okay, we don't need to conserve as much, we can afford to attack a little bit, try and keep the pressure on Talon and Smith and see if we can force the mistake to come. 4 cars within just about half a second, call it. They are racing hard.
Lars is right on the rear bumper of Jake Forster. Nobody's been able to make their runaway this time, and now Talon gets to see fear in his mirror. 31 to go, still a long time on this run, and Jake looks like he's blown entry pretty bad there to get that high line sent to him, and this bottom has been advantageous all race. Lars takes P2, and Trevor could even come in to claim the P3. Stay out of the wall, people.
Yep. It'll be 24 crosswhite to the inside. Forster will be able to get a run. I don't think he's going to have frenzy slices down the track to cover that off, and will at least hold on to P3 for now. Crosswhite not going to be too happy with that one. You'd have to think there's no stop off like that, but it has to settle down for now because once again you need to keep that gap. Smith's built a slight advantage in the lead, and you need to make sure that's not going to run away from you if you want a shot at winning this race. I will say, you were worried we weren't going to finish in a reasonable time frame. Race Labs thinks there's maybe 10 minutes left in this race. We've been lapping so fast right now, 29 to go. And I have a feeling at this rate we're going to be done in no time.
Unless there's another catastrophe, we really could be holding in for a pretty quick one around here. And this league, by the way, rolls on and on next week. We have a fun one in Michigan. Tune in for Howie Schmagelbarger goal. And yes, the race names start becoming stupid now. You get one normal one, and that is it for this league. Same time, same place, same time GMT. Keep in mind that the UK does change its time zone over the weekend, and it'll be 9:30 in the UK. Lars looking to really challenge Talon Smith on the rear. Oh, I really thought Talon would have to run away, but something either has gotten into him that isn't making his run his best, or something has truly gotten into this field. Jake still running lanes off the bottom here. It's going to give space to Trevor. I almost thought he'd take it there. I think he's actually kind of comfortable with where he is. But at the same time, I'm just worried about seeing these two fight it out. I think Trevor's going to take no victims. Ooh. In fact, he almost got it on the outside too. He's been hungry for 2 laps running. He could just take the third. Not quite this time.
Tries to get in around the outside, but the car slips out from underneath and has to slow down significantly to make sure that doesn't get out of control. It will mean Donald's car falls slightly further back from the pack. Might give Doyle Rudolph a chance to get into this fight as well. Meanwhile, at the front, they are still nose to tail. Talon Smith being hounded by Lars Chenoweth right now.
There is no car that races like this. Let me just say that right now. These two are at each other's throats, and they're going to stay that way for the next 25 laps. That looks like Havliciden has kind of just hit the low side there. He's been able to recover in time. Curious what happened.
Oh,
he's
my God.
It. Let me bring it back
the
live.
Alcon wreck.
Let me bring it back live.
We've witnessed the Alcon wreck. We've witnessed the goddamn Alcon wreck.
I lost it. I look away and the Alcon wreck claims us all. There are punishments for this, by the way. There are punishments in the rules for the Alcon wreck. Let's keep an eye on what actually happened without missing the action. Already a blown corner. I'm very curious how he does that. Oh, it's already kicking off. Go well into this.
Oh my word. What's happening here?
It's Hafley and Chris, the 81 and the 18. They're already having bumper cars. Already going sideways. Hafley gets below the line. That's going to stop the caution from coming out.
That's not the incident. It's this next one.
Then he comes back onto the track, and I don't know if we retaliate. Oh, he just gets turned. Let's speak to the two of them right now about what we just saw, actually, I think. I feel like we need to get a second opinion. I need to really drag them up, and this Discord window is too big. Hey, Chris and Hafley, congratulations on causing the Alcon wreck on week 1. Just like to you two to talk through that in surely a civilized manner that won't go wrong whatsoever.
Crispy is a bastard.
You can't say those words on broadcast.
I could say worse. I didn't.
I've already dropped an F-bomb. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
No, Crispy asked, do you want to race? I said no. He raced me anyways.
That's what happened.
Was it retaliation? I need you to be completely honest.
From who?
No. Exactly.
Good answer. Well, congratulations on failing rule number 1 of stock car racing. I just didn't think we'd see it after a race that had gone on for so well, but it makes sense that it includes Hafley. Let me just put it like that.
I'm behind him now, so you better watch out.
Hope you two can settle your differences and possibly not send us into another string of 50 cautions. Thank you very much.
Oh, no.
Beautiful. Had to find out.
Wonderful.
Had to find out the truth. I love just being able to cause arguments and cause strife and cause problems. I cause problems on purpose.
Speaking of problems, Doyle Rudolph managed to short pit.
We need to call this one out. Doyle Rudolph, welcome to Strategy Corner. It was going so well for you. In fact, it was others that had unusual strategies. What are you doing here right now?
I was hoping I wasn't going to hear you call me in here. I took 2. And I took 2 because I figured that the Alcantech cars behind me were going to take 2. And I didn't want to lose the track position to them. But it seems that everybody has taken 4, and I'm very worried that I'm on the wrong side of this.
You see, when I say Doyle Rudolph strategy corner, and you go, my strategies aren't that weird, I think we've now officially found out that they can get a little bit weird. Best of luck out there. We'll be watching that car. These things aren't as easy as next gens on 2. Let me just put it like that.
I appreciate it, Howie.
Got a good answer to that one on the spot, I think. This is going to be a slightly crazy start. Such a slow open has expanded into a timeline of a million different controversies and curious stories. I don't know what to make of any of this. What do you... I'm not going to ask you what you think is going to happen. I'm going to ask, how crazy you think it's going to go.
Well, Doyle's going to be able to pull away at the start. Pace car will pull away, and it should be an easy launch for the 26. We'll get clear very easily. Would help if Shuttleworth can follow and get alongside. Talon Smith can't quite make it happen. So now the 26 needs to run like hell because Smith has 4 tyres, and never mind, the damage has already been done. Talon Smith goes high around the outside and swings straight past and takes the lead straight back.
This might just be the leading from here on out. On the low side, Doyle, and you can feel that the balance of that car is not right. This is a track that is very hard to take 2 on. You can only really do it when it's perfectly single groove. This is going to start rough and end rough, I think.
I don't mind the flip for track position, but unfortunately the race pace just isn't there on these 2 tyres. And suffering because of it, now the 26 Doyle Rudolph is going to fall straight down the order.
And Jake Forster's really been caught out. He must have had a really bad day on pit road because he's gone all the way from fighting for the top to sitting right there in the middle. Could have been a bad pit box, but he's going to have to punch his way past Trevor Crosswhite to do it. He's going to hold on for dear life. Lars has the fastest lap. He does have pace in the system. We're almost going free right down the backstretch. Forster off the wall. Just about keeps it together. And now he is the inside line. He's chasing. And Half Lisserton has taken up the P3 after all of this. This could be anyone's at all today.
It's absolute mania on the track right now. 44 of Jake Forster goes wall to white line. Oh dear!
He's getting
a huge bubble for Jake Forster.
Blocked down the backstretch. That's a hard block. Covering off both drivers with his slower pace. You're allowed to block, but the rules sort of are that you're allowed to block like a stock car driver, but there might be consequences on the track. So, for all intents and purposes, he can do that, but it's a sort of risky move that might get him turned over one day. Jake makes it up the inside of Trevor. He has run past that. Wall bounce hardly hurt him. He's going to clear on entry, though, if he wants any chance of chasing down Hafley. He has. And now there's just a little bit more. He's been doing good at making this up. He's been doing very good.
Meanwhile, Shenoweth slowly closing in the back of Talon Smith for the lead of the race. Obviously, having Doyle in that bad position really hampered the launch of the 22. But now
he's all the way back
on.
Alongside Bartos.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, that you can almost see a dent. Might be a dent in that right front, or it might just be the fact that they're asymmetrical. I've been made fun of for weeks by Daniel Solo for not knowing that the mini stock was asymmetrical until the week of the race that we did in them. And that's fair, actually. It's not unfair. Will Shack, by the way, has parked the car literally on the basis of running out of time, but his race was starting to go pretty bad, so he's just decided maybe that was an appropriate place for it. James Facing, also in pit road, might have taken a bad shot to the wall and just decided, like, that's it for him, and he might need some vital repairs, but he's down 5 now. So he is not a competitor anymore. This race keeps going with 13 to go. Still more wall shocks. That's Lisserton one more time. Keeping it together. This is tough.
You can scrape the wall a little bit. So you got to watch out for the big shunts. That's really what's going to get you done in. If you need to use the track, you might end up in the wall a little bit. You just need to keep it away as much as possible otherwise. Meanwhile, Chenoweth right now chasing down Talon Smith. I want to see the lines here. If they both just keeping it low, yes, okay. So my problem now is this. Chenoweth has shown he can catch. At some point you do need to go offline to actually make the pass. I remember this being the problem at Atlanta towards the end of the race as well, where because it was just so high-line favoured, car in second place couldn't make anything happen, was just forced to run the second groove, but wasn't able to make up time in doing so. So you really need to force Talon to give up the inside somehow. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to pull that one off on a track like this. Now 11 to go. 10 to go as the timing tower ticks over. And where do you make the move?
It's a very short run for these drivers, obviously. Only about 30 laps capped on this, so you could really burn through those tyres. Some drivers will be out of tyre sets if there's another caution. I'm curious to see who saved their stuff. I know Doyle has another set of left sides if he wants them. Sitting there, unused, unwanted in the garage. But yeah, this top four has strung out a fair bit. It would take a masterful chase from this 3 and 4 to claim even the P2, but they're having their own little duel themselves for that third place position. Every position matters in this championship, and we have no crazy scoring gimmicks. You need to take everything you can get. That's Solo. He's suffering out here too. Almost completely sideways, not out for good. You can just see how loose these cars are. Every corner. Forsters are in less than a tenth now. Don't get a massive draft down that back stretch, but if he's going to go for it any time, he might go for it now.
Importantly, Chenoweth's also fallen off the back of Talon Smith, so if it stays like this, Jake Forster might actually have a decent shout at second place, but I don't think anyone's got enough to challenge Talon Smith for the lead of this race as it stands right now. It's a question of what can this 44 car do? It's been fast all day, but it needs to be able to make a move, and that's been a real challenge for some of these drivers further up the grid. It's the old classic. It's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. It's once again a slight wall tap there for Flidderson.
8 attempts now between Hafley and Chenoweth. I know another major league, the commentator for it calls him Kenoweth, and it drives him a bit insane. So just remember that in your back pocket if we ever need it. You know, that is Chenoweth indeed, running very wide, sliding all the way up the cheese grater banking, and I gotta say he's very, very quickly lost pace to Talon Smith here.
I wonder why. Obviously, the bottom line has all the speed. I don't think the pace is at the wall, unfortunately. Chenoweth, I'm guessing, he's trying to move around, trying to find some grip, trying to find some time, trying to find something here, because there aren't a lot of laps left.
It's possible he slid
to try and make something happen.
I think that car sort of went sideways a bit up the racing surface and left us where we are. This is going to be a hard chase now, I think. He was faster, and now it's flipped over into being slower. But this P3 isn't over. Afliciden is losing a bit of time lap to lap, but at this point it's not really about losing or gaining time, it's about how you can make that pass, and he's already pulled a bit of blocking on the other cars here. He's really loose there through 3 and 4. Feel that rear stepping out from where I'm sitting right now. No gap on the outside there for Hafley.
Forster's been doing pretty well going up a groove, getting the rotation in the car. I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that with the car on his inside. We can pinch Hafley down to the 8. But what is that? Okay.
That is not how we wanted that to go. He is backwards, and Crisp is also meatballed, possibly literally from wall hits at the same time. We'll relitigate what just happened at the end of this race. I think there might be some words had about that move. Obviously, you can see a better angle, but Hafley's just been sent down and out. Humbling back. His car's still moving, but you can see the dents, and now Omen's on the rear. Very
shoved through the corner.
Really, maybe not his day. The balance of that car is totally over. It just slipped and slide entering the tri-oval. Final lap of the race, and he's... I think he's going himself around that car. Just is going nowhere. It could even go into the side of the 42. Oh, I can't take it anymore. We have a race finish to call. It's going to be Talon Smith winning at Charlotte.
Oh, good power slide finish, but what is going on with the 80? Whoa!
What have we seen with... I just think he messed up exit real bad there. Oh, what are we doing? Owen sideways. Enough fatigue has crept into this lobby. I think it's got into everybody's head. We have quite a few incidents to review at the end of that race. Before we get on to driver interviews, I think. That was an absolute roller coaster. And the bad kind.
It was all going so calm, and then everybody simultaneously lost their damn minds.
There may be penalties for actions detrimental. That's all I'll say. First up, here's Matthew Crisp getting a meatball flag. I think this is under his own power. I tell you what, for I love Whiplash Sim cams a lot. Shouting them out again for providing the cams for this. For a set of cams that's designed for the modern Charlotte, the fact they've only been blocked by a tiny handful of things is very impressive. Matthew Crisp just hits the wall hard, and that's his meatball flag. Now have Liston and Forster. I'm sure... Well, this time the 44 was able to succeed in the first rule.
You can see the 81 km track covers off the entry from the 44. 44 goes low, tries to build a run, looks to the inside. That's
an outrageously late move, and I think the 81 gets what's coming to him for that one. Unless am I wrong?
I agree with you. That is the pinnacle of bleep around and find out. And there's a lot of finding out done by the 81 there. This post-race incident for the 26.
Let's actually get to the checkered flag. This has happened just a short bit after. Actually, no, we'll just keep running because it pretty much is, yeah. Is this the checkered? We'll just keep running it. We'll just keep running it. Let's go. I just want to see what happens.
Wow, we turned on the turbo.
Oh, he really does just try to... That sure is an action, and it has something to do with stock car racing. I thought maybe it would have been a self-inflicted error.
It was definitely self-inflicted.
Chaos, carnage, and calamity at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We have some winners to speak to. And I think, first of all, I'm going to try and catch up with our race winner, Talon Smith, provided he stays undeafened, obviously. We'll see. Talon Smith, are you gonna copy, or are you just gonna sit here deafened for me? You could pull a voice a bit like Talon's for me if you wanted.
I don't know what Talon sounds like.
Think you could guess? I mean...
I'm going to refuse on the basis that I could do something really mean, and I'd rather not do that.
You saying you don't watch the hit Twitch streamer, Talon Smith?
I don't watch the hit Twitch streamer, Talon Smith. I humbly apologise.
I mean, that's fair, but... I have a feeling that nobody's home. Well,
Could you sit here and awkward silence a bit?
while we wait for him to return, while we wait for him to return, we've seen that all of Alcantech have already completely checked out of further interviews. Maybe they're mad and crazy. So we'll call on some of the other stragglers who have hung around in these channels. Doyle, you're being called in for interview because everybody else ran. Just talk me through your race.
Okay. I mean, it was really, I felt like it went really, really well until about 10 to go. Early on, I saw the Alcantech cars drop back. I knew they were fuel saving. I had done my testing before this place got repaved. They kind of sprung the repave on us last minute. It was kind of weird. Usually you get a lot of notice with a lot of time.
Same thing with the new qualifying format, you know? Just have to like throw you on the bus a little bit.
Yeah, I was really concerned about that. It seems like NASCAR has really taken an experimental turn this week. But I had done my testing on the old pavement, and it seemed like the fuel save wasn't viable. I didn't think to retest it in practice today, and it seemed like it was viable. Unfortunately, they made it to lap 50 before they pitted. So I essentially ran what I would call a Goldilocks strategy. I saw the lead couple cars come in around lap 33, trying to split it into equal thirds, and I said, "There's no way that we're getting through this without a caution." And I ended up being right. We had that caution, and I was in brilliant position. Managed to hold it there. I think Alcantech fuel saved again in the second stint, which really confused me because we could make it easily on fuel from there. But either way, they kind of dropped off the back of me. And then the third caution there, or the second caution, I took 2. It felt fine. The car turned great. I was running very competitive lap times. I got kind of hung out to dry on the inside, had everybody sort of come around me. I expected that. I was finally able to slot in behind Anton, and I was like, okay, I can hold Danny behind me. This will be a fun little battle for 7th. And the first corner where I have a clean outside, I just wall myself on entry, give myself wheel damage.
Well,
so from there, it was just a struggle to stay alive from there.
That race went from normal to madness very, very quick, and I always appreciate someone trying to bring something a little new to it. Yeah, I mean, it's very... You know those gnomes that move the brake marker at Spa? They repaved the entire track in like 6 hours.
It's impressive. I think their previous record was 8 hours. I think they also moved the safer barrier on entry to 1. They pulled that in closer to the track. Right on lap 85. You can actually see them if you watch the replay.
Very, very true.
It was actually me. I've been parked there the entire race, just ready to push out the barrier when I decided it would be funny.
iRacing really need to fix that. iRacing really need to fix that. Well,
it certainly was funny.
It
gave me something exciting to do in the last stint.
Well, you certainly do have the pace and the temperament to do better. I expect it. No, I'm not going to speak to you in such threatening language. But thanks for the race, and thanks for joining. We'll see you again next week.
Yeah, of course, looking forward to it.
And now, Alice, you're going to get to speak to our P2 Lars Kenowith, I think you could call him, very much. Here he comes.
Oh, Lars P2. It looked like he maybe had the pace challenge Talon Smith at points, but just weren't able to put the run together. How did it go for you?
I think I was faster than him for like the first 10 laps of that last run there, but he was just too good at tire saving, and he just ran away from me at the end.
Were you able to try and maybe get to the high side to try and get alongside? It looked like you were just following in his tire tracks for the most part.
I was basically trying to do that, and at the end I tried to run high for a couple laps to see if I could find grip there, which I obviously did not.
Well, how'd the rest of the race go for you then? Because it looked like in the early going, the 51 was able to pull away from everybody, and no one really had an answer.
I just was relaxing, kind of. I wasn't really trying to challenge him. I was just trying to tire save, and I'm not very good at tire saving, so he was running away from me.
Well, you and me both. Anything else you want to say about this race? Because from my perspective, you had a fairly quiet affair until the last stint where it really sort of lit up.
I don't know. I just rather average race, I guess.
Well, perfect average race with a very good finish. P2 for you overall. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'd say look out for Lars on a future week. I've been trying to bribe Talon with like promises and treats for undeafening himself in the Discord channels, because it's crazy that he would show up and then just not. But it doesn't like he's even going to take a bribe. So now what can you really do at that point? What can you really do? Well, that went from, as I've said a few times, that went from normal to absurd very, very fast. Any last thoughts on this start to a season?
I thought we would go one race without Alcantech just completely imploding. I didn't think they would completely implode either, and it looks like we might have a lot of beef on our hands.
They like to do this to themselves. They really like to do this to themselves.
So now we get to play the fun game. We get to go to Michigan, which should be nicer to drive in the cars, but also has potential to be a lot more funny with side-by-side racing, and I'm a bit terrified.
It's a track that's got plenty more margin and a lot more speed. It's the fastest race on this schedule, and it will be on this channel next week. Same time across the world, hour later in the United Kingdom, if you prefer it quite like that. And it's been one roller coaster to another, and there's plenty more to come. I've been Howie Burroughs alongside Alice Davison, wishing you a very good